was a girl, and I'd only seen boys and girls together. For the first time, I associated my sexuality with shame. At 10, I decided I was going to marry a man, have kids, and once they grew up, I'd leave and get a girlfriend. At 12, I decided I was never going to have kids because this wasn't a world that I wanted to bring another person into. At 14, I met my birth father, and at 15, I'd reached a point where I thought suicide was my only option. My grades at school were terrible. I acted out all the time and participated in activities that a little later caught up with me. My self-talk had me believing that I wasn't worthy of love, that my mother would be ashamed of me, my grandparents would disown me, and my friends would be disappointed in me. And I thought, why would I be so selfish and put them all through that just by coming out? My mum was great about it. We talked, I cried, then she hugged me. I can't express enough how important that hug was for me. For me, that hug meant that I wasn't a freak, that I wasn't dirty, and that I was loved. I also want to say that in 2000, there was one teacher in the 12 years that stopped and saw through all the pain and the bad behaviour, and that teacher's name is Andrea Crocker from Holy Spirit College in Mackay. That 5-minute talk was probably my turning point, and I owe her a thank you. At 16, I met a girl, we began dating, and I soon realised that it was an extremely unhealthy relationship. I persevered with it though, because that's what I'd seen my mother do for a decade, with my stepfather who had a chronic alcohol problem. Because of this, there were nights we attempted to sleep in the car at the local supermarket, and at every house we lived in, I needed to know the escape plan and where the nearest exits were during his episodes. I remember standing in the front of my yard when I was 5 years old, screaming for help, and no one came for the longest time. And I have to say that planted the seed during my childhood that no one cared and asking for help was pointless. At 17, my stepfather passed away. At 19, I met the love of my life. At 20, I told my birth father that I was gay, and I haven't heard from him since. 3 days before my 21st birthday, I had a shock diagnosis, but fortunately only required surgery and no further treatment. During that time, I remember thinking how a couple of years earlier, I was begging to die, and now I was begging to live. At 23, I miscarried, which sent me into a downward spiral. And I relied heavily on copious amounts of alcohol to get me through the day. At 25, we welcomed a healthy baby boy who just recently turned 6.
Hi.
These are just some of the events that have happened in my life. The purpose of me sharing these personal stories with you is in the hopes that if someone that hears these stories that feel as worthless as I did, as ashamed as I did, as suicidal as I did, and they feel like they don't see a future in themselves, if I can help even just one person hold on to hope, then it's all been worthwhile. I mentioned earlier that my most proudest title is being a parent. The reason why I run Townsville Rainbow Families and the BR collection is because I want my son to know that I'm actively invested in delivering him a better world. Now, I'm not saying that I can protect him from everything, but what I can do as a parent is provide him with the tools that help him to process his feelings, be someone he can talk to, and prove to him daily that I love him without condition. I came from living in caravans with broken glass, a bus that had no door for a while, getting by without a vehicle, staying in a women and children's halfway home, not supposed to pass 6th grade, tried to scrub my colour off multiple times because I was told it was dirty, and stole food because I was hungry. And now I have provided a home that no one can take away from my son. His fridge is full, his education is worth every cent, and his happiness and security is paramount. I broke the cycle. With every petition I sign, donation I make, and topic I highlight on Townsville Rainbow Families, post on the BR collection, I do so knowing that I'm one extra person putting something out into the world that is good and kind. I live a normal life, I have bills, I have endless housework, I have minimal free time, but I'm so grateful for this life that we have created together. Thank you, baby. I wouldn't change all the hurt and the loss for anything. Had I not had these experiences in my life, I probably wouldn't be so grateful to work so hard or to make a difference for others. I know there'll be times when you will want to give up, when it all becomes too much, when it all seems pointless, but I urge you to keep fighting. If you feel like you don't fit in where you are, go out into the world and find your place. There are amazing groups out there that would be proud to have you. Headspace, Stand Up for Pride and Townsville Rainbow Families, for example. Feel free to message me on Townsville Rainbow Families or come along to one of our monthly gatherings. We have people of all ages that attend and have huge giveaways in the past from some amazing sponsors like Second to None Nutrition, Mary Who Bookstore, Townsville Flower Markets, Gail Woolley Photography, Baskin & Robbins, Sweeter Than Sugar, Paper and String, and Reading Cinemas. My name is Bree Rollins. Thank you for your time and keep pushing the social boundaries in the name of equality, because change is only possible if you participate. Thank you.